Hello, good morning, everybody. How is your Monday going? Hope it's going well. I'm excited to talk about today's topic, actually. So I'm going to get started right out of the gate just because I have a lot to cover because this topic is huge. So we are going to talk about the mindset around time today. And I want to give you a little backstory on why I chose to talk about time. So as you may or may not know, I am a business coach. So I meet with people every day. I talk about their business, usually bleeds into their personal life as far as what they got going on in their world. And, one of the things that I found after coaching over 200 clients is I see patterns in things. So, at the beginning when when I was in business for myself and not a coach, I think I saw it from a different perspective. So really, honestly, what I've seen through just a pattern is that the most successful agent or the person or the business owner or even the stay-at-home mom or dad is they're really focused on their time. So we were in a conversation about a couple weeks ago, and we actually do what we call a think tank, which we get a group of people together, 6-8 people at the most. They're in production, they're doing well in their business, and we were talking about some of the challenges in their business. And it's almost every single time we get together, or at least 2 or 3 people in that group say, I have shiny object syndrome or I have squirrel syndrome, where I know what I need to do, so I have a plan, and yet life takes me in a different direction. And so it's interesting as I kind of go through this experience with, Facebook Live and working on my mindset. My question to you is this about time. So if you had to choose giving away or spending your money, just spending it all, or would you spend all your time? I think a lot of people would choose, instead of giving away their money, honestly, I think a lot of people would choose to give away their time. And I think there's a mindset around that because your time is the most precious, most valuable thing you have. You can replace money with more money, but you can't replace time. So think about that as we have this conversation today around why do we have the mindset around mindset around time that we do. So I want to actually see what can we do differently. How can we look at time differently? So one of the things I did is I love some Google, and basically what I looked at is I saw there is an average of 28,000 days in a person's lifetime, just 28,000. Which I had to do it. I had to check a couple sources because I felt like that's such a low amount, for the likelihood of all the things we need to do every day. And then out of that 28,000, over 9,125 of those days added up together is when we sleep. So if you think about it, we then only have just a little over 18,000 days where we're actually doing something. So why the heck are we wasting our time? Why the heck do we have a plan? Do we have it written down? Do we meet with our coach if you have a coach? Why do we meet with that person and look at the plan in the morning and then go, other things come up, other things happen? I really feel like that it's a lot of 15, 20-minute tasks that, number one, don't need to get done, that you make a priority, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So one thing I want to bring out is that I don't know if you're a Tony Robbins fan. I watch and listen to a lot of his podcasts and videos. One thing he said recently struck with me, and he says, what would you change from what do we have to do today to what is my outcome? So if we woke up every day instead of saying, what is my to-do list? What do I have to do today? Versus let's change the mindset to what is my outcome. I think right there, just shifting in that different in question will change our mindset around our time, because our time is precious, right? I was looking actually at, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys get those time snaps backwards, time hops, I think that's what they're called, on Facebook. And yesterday, my daughter popped up, and Emma, she was 6 years old in her little ladybug costume. and she's now 12, getting ready to go for Halloween, and she's in middle school. And I thought, man, where has the time gone that little 6-year-old girl in her cute little ladybug outfit gone, and this beautiful young lady that's in front of me now? Time is a way of just going super fast. I don't know if you've ever been in a meeting where it's 10 or 15 minutes and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the longest 10 minutes of my life. You watch the clock, nothing's changing. It's like slow. It's on turtle speed. And then there's days where 10, 15 minutes fly by and you're like, oh crap, I gotta go. I'm late, right? Because the time slipped by or went so much faster. So why is that? I think it's how we focus on the time what makes it different. So I want to go back to what I just had said just a second ago. What do we have to do versus if we thought of a different mindset about time is what is my outcome? Because ultimately we know that there's 3 main choices that you have in time right now. Basically, the first one is what tasks are painful? What are you afraid of? We all have those on our to-do list every day. It could be something as simple as doing something in our business that we've never done before, so we're fearful of that, or something like that. The second thing that we usually have to use time consistently on is the tasks that are more fun, right? So that's where we go into pleasure and then we really are excited about something, or guilty pleasure. So we got to go to Starbucks, got to get our coffee or whatever your indulgent is. So those already alone, the painful tasks that we need to do every day, and then the fun tasks that we do every day, those 2 already crowd our day with a lot of stuff to do. The third one, though, in my opinion, is the reason why we can't take this mindset of time and really use it effectively. What tasks are you demanding from others, or they're actually demanding on you, right? So there's so many of these pressures in our world where someone's asking you to do something. What if we change the mindset around that and it says, what is important to you? What is important to me? And there's nothing wrong with being selfish with your time, because ultimately we can't get our time back. We just heard earlier there's only 28,000 days on the average person's lifespan. So every day you don't do what you love, or every day that you actually choose to give in to someone else and say, yeah, I'm happy to do that, when you know that's not what you should be doing, that's an opportunity where you've missed one day of kind of creating purpose behind it. So what is important to you, I think, is something you need to think about. We also know, and if they've done studies, and it's pretty cool, but time is really an emotion. It's not an activity. And I think there's a difference, because I think we think, oh, we're people that are really good with their time, we're born with it. So if I'm let's just be stereotypical and like, oh, I'm from a military background and I am just very systematic with my time. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I do this, and 5 o'clock, I do this. It's not the case. Time is emotion, time is not activities. And what I mean by that is we know that if you don't manage your time, then emotion comes into play. So an example would be if I'm supposed to, let's just say, I'm supposed to make 10 phone calls. That's a pain, because I don't want to naturally make phone calls. And so then I'm like, yeah, I didn't make those 10 phone calls. So then what do I do? I do something that creates pleasure. I'm going to go get some Starbucks instead, right? So those are 2 tasks already that have just derailed us from what we want to do and what we need to do. And then, you get the text message from a family member that says, oh, can you go by the grocery store and pick up eggs, or can you pick up something? So then now someone else is demanding your time, and you're like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that, right? So that's something I want you to think about as you go into changing our mindset around time, is that you've got to focus on what's important to you and the tasks that you've created and the goals you've set for yourself, because you're worth it. You're important. And by you not wanting to disappoint someone else, you're disappointing yourself. And time is the only thing that we have. So I want you to think about also kind of what things that you can do to get yourself on track from a time management standpoint. I teach this a lot in coaching, and I'm just going to confess right now, I am not born into a time management system. I am not born of the mindset that I need to be structured in my time. In fact, I'm the opposite person. Really, I am a wing it. I wing everything. I kind of go with the flow and kind of figure it out as I go. I'm also really fast paced. So a time management person typically doesn't go as fast as I go. I'm just all over the place. But I'm going to share with you what I call the 10 mindset time tactics. Wow, that's a tongue twister. 10 mindset time tactics that I use in my personal life, and that I also instill in my coaching agents. So if any of my clients are on the Mindset Monday, I apologize for the repetitiveness, but it never hurts to hear it more than once. So the first thing I would say, if you're trying to focus on your mindset around time, is that you're going to need to use a planner or a calendar. You got to use it. You got to have it. Actually, let me pardon my reach there. This is one that I'll show you just from a, I now use a Google Calendar, but this is what I used for my daily calendar. You'll see it color coded. You'll see all that. Make sure you're using a planner or calendar. So those of you that are not, you need to make sure you get on the bandwagon. There's a lot of great technology out there. There's a lot of great apps. There's a lot of great things. The second thing I would say is prioritize your tasks and batch your tasks similar together. So we need to prioritize those. So if you're a person that already creates a to-do list, like a grocery list, you're going to put all of those tasks that you need to do every single day. I personally do it every single night before I go to bed, and I list all the tasks that I need to do. What we don't do is we don't prioritize them. A lot of us, it's just a mind dump, and we put all of this list together of all the things we need to do. What we don't realize is that some of those tasks are more important. And the company I work for, we call it the 80-20 rule, where really 20% of that list is the most productive, which is going to give you 80% of the results. So make sure that when you're prioritizing those tasks, you also batch them together so they're actually similar tasks. All right, the third thing I want you to do is peg a time limit for each task and a deadline to get it done. We are not good at deadlines. Don't just say, oh, I want to go to Disney World. I want to go to Disney World next month at this date, right? We need to set deadlines because, again, with time, if we don't set deadlines, our time and our mindset is, I'll get to that later, right? With a deadline, we now have a definitive line in the sand of what we're going to do, and we can't let our mind trick us or change the kind of the outcome we're looking for. The fourth thing I want us to focus on, and this is something I struggle with, I do, is leave time, a buffer between tasks. So you got to realize that if you're booking an appointment or you're doing different things, that you can't book an appointment from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock and then have another one at 10 o'clock. You have time. You have to span that time. You've got to be able to give travel time. So I know it seems crazy, but in your schedule, you've got to put travel to work, travel to school, travel to something, because it's really important that you leave that gap. Because if you're already running late, number one, it creates a stress mindset, but it also creates, I'm running behind, and then you get super stressed out. The other thing I would say about just leaving buffer with tasks is you need time to get caught up on tasks. Because what happens is that if you were supposed to do something for an hour and now you've realized it's actually taking longer, it's now going to create a domino effect. So that's something that you need to be able to take that time and go, okay, I didn't get the task done, so then I need to now spend this 15-20 minute buffer that I built for myself so I can finish it up, right? The next thing that I want to make sure you guys, and this is number 6, is block out distractions. And I'm talking to every single person that's watching this video, because we all have distractions. Distractions could be anything from social media. It could be our cell phone, people calling us on our cell phone when we need to be doing a specific task. But it also is the specific environment that you're in. Where do you work? Those that I coach, I call it a bunker. I want to make sure that you have a bunker where you can shut the door and you can get your task accomplished without interruptions. And we all have interruptions in different capacities. So one thing I'll tell you is that I see all the time where good people have good intentions and the environment around them is not set up correctly. What I mean by that is that you have other tasks that you get distracted from. So you're working at the kitchen table, then you see that you need to do the dishes. You got to be careful about that, because that blocking out your distractions and having a bunker could be the difference between you being on task or off task. And I hope that you guys really take that seriously, because I see that so much. The seventh one is don't fuss with unimportant details. So many times the people that are watching this video that are perfectionists, I'm not a perfectionist, those of you that are perfectionists, be careful, because what ultimately is happening is that you're not staying on task and you're creating this task to be so much larger than it needs to be. So it doesn't have to be perfect in a lot of cases, depending on the field or the industry you're in, but you need to get it done so you can move on to the next task. So make sure you don't kind of just keep festering or fustering on that. Number 8 is learn to say no. Say it with me, no. You can say that. If you say yes to something, you're going to say no to something else. So like I said before, if you say yes to someone else in your life, then you're saying no to a priority or a task or an activity that you need to do to accomplish what your goals are for yourself. Don't feel like a jerk. Don't feel like you're in a situation where you have to do that. Be careful about that. I am guilty of that a lot, because I'm a people pleaser. I want to help people. But as I've learned and as I've grown into focusing on more of a time management system, a mindset, I realize that I have to say no to certain things because it doesn't align with my goals. It doesn't align with the task that I've set out for that day. Alrighty, and then make sure you have a visible clock at all times. I know that seems silly. I actually have a desk and I have an alarm clock right in front of my face, so I can see every single minute of the day what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. So make sure you're looking at the clock. If you work on the computer a lot, look at that. If you have a watch, use that. Make sure that you're monitoring your time, because it'll be just like I said earlier in this video. What'll happen is you'll be 20 minutes in and you're like, oh my gosh, where did the time go? Make sure you're not distracted by how fast time goes. The last one, number 10, this is the biggest one. I'm telling you, out of everything that I've learned and I've continued to learn with the mindset around time, it's delegate tasks. Let go of your control. There are things that you do that other people can do for you that they probably do it better than you. Let it go. I'll be completely frank. I used to do the laundry in my family. I used to do it. I could do it better than anybody. You give me a load of towels, I can fold those things. They'd look beautiful. What I've realized is that my time and my tasks weren't aligned with me doing laundry. So now it's a team effort. My whole family participates in getting that laundry done. But it's weird. I had like this control over how it would work. So it's just important that we really look at what that is, because we've got to delegate tasks. And you know what? They're probably going to be better at certain tasks than you are, which is even greater. So then now two minds, are better than one. So last thing I want to talk about, just going into the mindset of time, is I want you to think about chunking down your tasks. And again, Tony Robbins talks about this, and actually a couple people that I've in my world have talked to me about it as well. And I instill this in a lot of my clients, and it's really helped me. I kind of look at the big picture of things. Sometimes you may have a task and it just seems overwhelming, a lot to it, very complicated, very time consuming. And your first mindset is, I don't have time for this. I mean, I'm already a busy person. I got this with my family, got this with my kids, got this with my business. So what we're doing is talking out all these ideas and go, yeah, I just don't have time for that. So ultimately what happens is then we don't do it at all, right? So think about chunking down. So let's talk about a specific activity and it's a huge task. Take it down to the bare bones level and see what is the first two steps that I can do in this task. And then do those. And then take the next two tasks and do those. Because ultimately these large tasks or these big responsibilities that you're doing that you're putting off to another day, that's never going to happen, by the way, is just bite it one bite at a time. And I always say, it's like eating an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So those tasks that seem overwhelming to you, think about using the chunk down method, where you look at it and you then systematically say, well, how am I going to get this done in a series of a week or 6 hours or 12 days or whatever it takes to kind of eat the elephant. All right, so last thing I want to talk about is the mindset quote of the day. It's a pretty cool quote. Time equals life. Therefore, waste your time and waste your life, or master your time and master your life. So pretty cool quote. I'm going to say it one more time. Life or time equals life, right? All we have is 2,800 days, like we talked about. So life and time are direct parallel to each other. Therefore, wasting your time and wasting of your life, or master your time and master your life. So I want you to think about going into this week, how awesome you have the abundance of being alive, being healthy, doing all the things that you need to do. You live a big life. I live a big life. But one thing that we can control is the mindset around our time, because we can't get time back. We can make more money, but we can't get time back, right? So, well, thanks for visiting with me this morning. Again, I hope you join me every Monday for Mindset Mondays, 8 a.m. And have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.